What is up everyone, Sean here, and wanted to make this quick video about basically a follow-up to the whole graphics versus gameplay video that I released not too long ago. So if you want to check that out first, you click it on the screen somewhere, and but otherwise I wanted to actually make a little addition to that subject. I kind of forgot to create some sort of like visual analogy for you guys to help visualize my point here, being graphics, both graphics and gameplay being very important here. So they're both important because they both kind of bounce off each other in a way. So think of it as like a car here, a very like a sports car, if you will. So the gameplay is like the foundation, or you can also think of it as like a house or something. But so we have the gameplay being the foundation. So in this case, being a car here, the gameplay would be the steering wheel, like the drivetrain, engine. I mean, it makes sense because you do have the game engine like Unreal 4 or something. But anyways, we have the engine, we have the drivetrain, transmission, all the works, like tires and everything, brakes, especially accelerator, gas pedal, whatever. Think of all the mechanics of the car being the gameplay here. That lays the definitely the foundation for the car. It's like the skeleton, if you can think of it that way. And the graphics is the visual side, the things that the eyes see. So basically that's the paint job, that's the shell of the car, that's where the creative design comes in, that's where the visual appeal comes from. So let's try to imagine it as an exotic car. That's very, it's very visually appealing. People talk about it especially when the car comes by. You hear that the exhaust, of course, very intimidating, I guess, in a way. Very growly, very sports car like or exotic car like. You can think of it as like a Lamborghini, Ferrari, or whatever. People will look at it, they're gonna be like ooh and stuff like that. And a lot of people would dream of owning a car like that just because from the outside perspective it looks cool. And of course, people know, drivers anyway, the people who actually drive the car, the owners anyway, or people leasing it, whatever, or people who've actually driven those cars with other reasons, like, or in different ways, like, oh, driving it on the race course or for rent or something. Anyways, the people who actually drive the car actually know how it feels. That's where people know, hypothetically speaking, that's the people understanding how the game feels. The handling, how the game feels, how the characters move, how tight the controls are. That's the whole steering. That's the whole transmission. How the shifter feels. The pedals, the brakes, of course. That's very important. The feel, the physical sides of it. That's all the gameplay stuff. And of course, the outside of it, like I said, that's the whole graphics part. So and let's take it to another route. If you were to take all those all that stuff, like the same performance of a exotic car like Lamborghini or Mustang, GT, Shelby Cobra, whatever you want to think of if you take those parts, the engine, the steering wheel, the handling, drivetrain, everything, the skeleton, take all that off from the shell of whatever car you're thinking of, and then just put that into a equally sized car, but the actual the outer appearance is a little more mundane, a little more normal, I guess, a little more boxy, maybe, I don't know. Just a different appearance. It's just a more mundane or kind of a step down appearance. That's that's the graphics being dumbed down. They're really lowering the rendering and stuff like that. They're really turning down that fidelity. They're really, you know, lower the quality, I guess you can say, for graphics. And you know, it doesn't matter for art direction or whatever. That's, you know, hypothetically speaking, that's what's happening. So if you were to do that, who now is going to be appealed to that car? Nobody. The only appeal that's going to happen is the person driving it, or the person, or the couple of people who actually are willing to buy that car just for other reasons, just because they're big enthusiasts, or whatever reason it is. Those people are going to experience all the fun gameplay, all the fun, you know, thrill of driving this car, or the, or you know, or in this case, the gameplay, how the actual game feels. But because of the appeal of the visual appeal, has been, you know, dumbed down, not too many people are gonna buy that car, or want that car at least. Just from the outer shell, just from the outer appearance. So it does play a part for both things. You know, the gameplay, both the gameplay and graphics do their part. The graphics lure in the people. They really make people want that game. And the good gameplay is the people, you know, for the drivers who actually, you know, drive the car or whatever. That's, if the gameplay is good, they're gonna keep playing it. They're gonna, you know, talk good about it and make other people play it, just from, you know, the reviews or whatever, the positive feedback and what have you. It's, you know, it definitely shows that both graphics and gameplay are very important here, and you can't really neglect on one or the other here. And of course, there's a whole nother talk about art direction and whatever, but graphics is like the general term. I kind of said this in a comment from my previous video, that, you know, graphics is the more generalized term, which is why I'm keep using it. It's what people talk about, you know, graphics. Like, no one really, you know, tells, or no one really talks about art direction, unless you're very, you know, already much into the gaming world here. So if you're talking about from a little more of an outer perspective or outside perspective, like, you know, your parents or the very casual gamer or something like that, they're gonna say graphics. So that's the direction I wanted to go with. So just to be a little more general, just to be a more familiar, and what have you. But graphics is something to refer to everything visual about a product. In this case, a game here, or if you're talking about the analogy, or the paint job, the shell of the car. If, you know, all those things look nice, you have a outstanding product here. If if the game has both good graphics and a good game, definitely. You know, like I said, take a look at Mario. Very visually appealing graphics. Same with Breath of the Wild. Great, you know, great game as well. And even if for games like Last of Us, that, you know, that game is very memorable for the story, but of course the graphics, and also the gameplay is still pretty good too. So it's outstanding for both departments there. There's other examples as well, but like I said, if you neglect one of those things, you know, like for example, like I said, if you neglect on the graphics, but the gameplay is good, it's kind of like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite or KOF 14. Both are fun in their own perspective, but people aren't gonna really get into it from the casual standpoint because the game looks not as appealing as the other fighting games. Let's take a look at Street Fighter 5. Look at the graphics on that thing. Much more appealing. There's deeper colors going on. The character models for most characters look pretty good. You still have some work with Ken's face or whatever, but point aside here, in comparison to the other Capcom game, or Capcom fighting game, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, yeah, I think Street Fighter 5 wins it for that one. And Street Fighter 5 gameplay is still very much more than just acceptable. It's actually pretty fun. If you turn off your competitive brain and just play the game here and try to have fun rather than just try to, win online or whatever. So that's another game that's an example of good gameplay and good graphics. But of course, if you have a good graphic game but not a good gameplay kind of thing going on, like Assassin's Creed, maybe someone did mention Assassin's Creed, but that's kind of an opinion. As someone who's been playing those games, it does probably become stale over time, but we can probably definitely say that Final Fantasy 13 was visually appealing, of course, but the gameplay wasn't quite there, didn't quite hit the mark. So yeah, it's quite infamous for the things people talk about anyway. Another example, like I said, Order 1886, Rise, what's another graphic heavy game, small or neglected gameplay? No Man's Sky. There you go. No Man's Sky was a huge disappointment in that sense. Oh, and also, how do I not think of this? Battlefront 2, another graphically good game, but the gameplay is very shallow and loot boxes as well. Blech. But you get the point. It's something that you shouldn't neglect no matter what. It's they both serve their purpose. If you look at it from a house perspective, gameplay is the foundation, the wooden parts of the house. It's the skeleton of the house, and the graphics is the paint, the paneling and stuff like that, and all that, the color scheme, whatever. Either way, they all play their vital roles, and in that sense, you shouldn't really neglect on one or the other. You know what I mean? So that's just my perspective on it. I think both graphics and gameplay are very important. I myself am, very much on the visual side. I watch movies, I watch anime, I watch, such other things, and I do art, as a hobby. I do photography and stuff like that. So I'm very, very visual. So I see those things as a very important aspect of any product. So, but yes, of course, the other foundation, the other things, the gameplay in this case for games, are very much important as well. You really don't want a boring little movie lookalike game on your hands here. That's something I wanted to add in. I kind of forgot to do that for that video, but I really wanted to tell you guys about it. So that's why we're here. So anyways, if you have your own analogy, or if you have a different opinion about this whole thing, please let me know. I'm definitely always open to see other opinions. It's very interesting to read those things. Leave me down below in the comment section below. Love to check them out. As always, hit the like, subscribe, and all that stuff. Really helps the channel, and really highly appreciate it. And of course, if you want to support the channel, just check out the links in the description box below. I do have a Twitch channel, I have a Twitter, I have a Loot Crate going on still going strong with that, and other things. So if you want to check that out, please do so if you have the time. But anyways, this has been the follow-up video on the graphics versus gameplay thing. Really wanted to tell you guys the analogy about the car and stuff like that. So anyways, I am a car guy too. So anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Sean out.